Principal Chief David Hill of Muscogee Nation, our chief, my chief, recently met King Charles III of the United Kingdom. East everyone. So about roughly sometime in the last year, our principal chief and a delegation of Muscogee people who work for our government made a special trip to the British Museum to take a look at the Josiah Francis Hilashajo clothing. We're talking the bandolier bag, his belts, his buckskin leggings, his buckskin jacket. There's some other things, I believe. The originals. Now, Hilashajo is a famous Red Stick leader, and I believe he's executed by President Andrew Jackson before he became president. He was the general at the time. So he came home and got executed. But while he was in the UK, I believe he sold his clothing or gifted it or something to the British Crown or someone working for the government of the UK. And so it's been in their possession ever since. And our delegation got to go see that. And they're talking about doing a loan. Now, on that same UK trip, I'm trying to remember what there's a museum in Scotland who had acquired materials from the Phrenology. I was the Phrenology Society of Scotland. Is that their name? I think that was the name of the organization that has since basically ceased to exist. Anyway, their possessions got acquired by subsequent organizations, and among them, I think was 5 skulls of Muscogee Creek people that were going to be used for what's the word? What do they call? They call it pseudoscience now, but I think the People's Republic of China still uses it. Physiognomy. Okay, I think that's part of the science they were using it for. Anyway, in any case, we got some skulls back of ancient Muscogee people, so we can properly reinter them back into the native land. I don't know what's happened to the skulls just yet, but that's, I believe, what's on the table. Now, again, we just had the annual festival, which I sadly missed, the 50th anniversary festival. I'm really upset that I couldn't make it to that. But, so that just happened recently, and I didn't realize this, but our principal chief had just gone to the UK. And, oh geez, I should have the name in front of me, but there's Governor Anna Tooby Jr. and also a Duchess. They presented this book. I think it's our enduring relationship. I'll share a link in the description of this video, so that way you can check it out and get all the little facts that I'm not really remembering at the moment. But I just woke up a bit ago, took a brisk walk. When I woke up, I read this article, and so I'll share it with y'all. And but in any case, I think it's a very important thing that our chief is doing, because cementing relationships with a foreign government that currently is allied with the United States, but at times has been our enemy as well. Okay, this is no small deal. Now, granted, King Charles III is technically more of a figurehead of the UK. He doesn't run the actual government, but still, they still technically have some type of a constitutional monarchy, and Charles III is that monarch. So building relationships with even de jure heads of state is no small deal. So I was looking in the comments section. Mostly people are like, oh, this is great. Maybe you should have brought him some Muscogee. Or you should have taken me with you. Oh, my son was there. It's a missed opportunity, but good deal. Like all these things, right? There's celebration over this news. And you got people in the comments section saying, what? You know, it's just a great deal, 400 years of this and that, but you mean of the Stahetki killing us? And I have to remind certain individuals because, you know, I have a tendency to, I have a better grasp of history than most people in the tribe, it seems. And so when people leave comments like that, I have to remind them, hey, you know, the British government was definitely better to Indian tribes than the U.S. government ever was. And, you know, meeting with foreign heads of state that were once our enemies, enemies of the United States, and are currently our friends, it's no small deal. We're not just some small ethnic minority living under U.S. jurisdiction anymore. Okay, we're able to actually develop independent relationships with other countries. That puts us on the world stage. It kind of does put us on the world stage. Not as big as, like, okay, obviously the Ukraine-Russian war, etc., um, but we're not some non-entity. We're not some small tribal group whose ancestors used to own a large chunk of what is now the southeastern United States. Okay. We still exist. We still have a government, and we're still cementing relationships with foreign countries now. It's no small deal. Okay. It may seem like a small gesture, but it's getting publicity. That publicity matters. I'm sure our principal chief, our beloved principal chief, David Hill, knows this. And he's a smart man. He's not some idiot, okay? And doing this stuff is actually in our best interest. So I know that someone else is complaining. I think a doctor working for Chickasaw Nation was complaining about stuff. I mean, he's leaving some long-winded comments in the section about, you know, all this injustice from the tribal governments, from Chickasaw Nation, and the corruption of, you know, Governor Anatubi putting his son, basically handing him the chiefdom, which I'm not going to lie, that's exactly what it looks like on the Chickasaw side of things. You're not going to make everybody happy. Unfortunately, you're not going to make everybody happy. You say, you did that plane trip, that money could have gone to the people. Okay. Theoretically, it could have. But it also kind of did with this trip. Okay. It's like I'm reminded, you know, there's a CHR driver back when I was living in, you know, outside Wheelika, getting medical help through the tribe. And he came to pick me up and take me to appointments. And we had good conversations. But yeah, in one of those conversations, he'd get on his high horse about stuff. He would. And one of the things was, like, you know, the Omniplex in Okmulgee, yeah, it all looks great. It's great that all this stuff happens, but that money could be going to the people, to help the people. And you can't make everybody happy. Yeah, theoretically, that money could be going to pay for someone's medical. But we already had a medical system that was helping out the people. If you just did the damn paperwork, if these individuals who needed help would just do the damn paperwork, that would kind of fix the problem that you're talking about, because the money was there. Okay? If some California-born kid can move back there and get help by doing every single piece of paperwork required of me, someone living on what is now retroactively deemed our reservation, but at the time wasn't considered such, yeah, there is help for a full blood like them. When they say there's no help for a full blood like me, it was there. You just had to do the paperwork. Oh, blah, 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 blah. Okay. You know, rabble, right? Do the paperwork. They'll help you. Okay. I can't speak for Chickasaw Nation, and that doctor, again, he seemed to be a Chickasaw Nation guy, and maybe he had legitimate complaints. It sounds like he did. I'm not saying that they are above reproach. Again, basically handing the governorship to your son does seem a bit questionable, okay? Despite the many good things, it sounds like Governor Anatubi actually did. And Principal Chief David Hill has given him praise as well. But on the issue of helping the people, you know, when Claude Cox set up the Claude Cox Omniplex, like when I moved back there in 2010, I'm telling you, like when I saw how great the Omniplex was, I went to the Mound Building. I went there specifically. When I moved back there, I specifically wanted to go to the festival for the first time, and I wanted to go check out the Mound Building and see the portraits. of chiefs, or the murals done, which included portraits of past chiefs, including Benjamin Perryman, my fifth great grandfather. I was really happy to see that. They didn't put down Benjamin Perryman. They put Stijakomiko, right? They put down the Indian name, but it's Tim. So when I saw the Veterans Memorial set up, when I saw the field set up specifically for the cornstalk shoot that Mike Berryhill kind of spearheaded. When I saw the Muscogee Nation Cultural Archive, when I saw all these little like side streets, like named after the clans and named in Muskogee, right? Like I think Stajati Lane was actually in Okima, but you had some of that stuff out there. But in Okmulgee, you had these little street names in the Omniplex named after the clans. Stuff like that, it's cool to see on a cultural level that we still exist and that we're moving into the 21st century. And that's the whole thing. You got tribes that are still living in the past. Whatever government benefits they have, whatever crap they're living off of, whatever, crappy life they have on like Pine Ridge Reservation, that's living at least several decades in the past, if not much further in the past than just a few decades. Okay. Yeah, they got cars and stuff. Yeah, there's gasoline. Yeah, sure. They got absolute poverty, gang violence. They're killing each other on the reservation. It's craziness. Okay. No, Muscogee Nation isn't one of those tribes. We've always been one of the 5 civilized tribes. We always adapted to new times and new technologies and new clothing materials and things like that. We did different things using the same fabric that the Stahetki sold us, and we made something really cool out of it. And I want to say we've always innovated for what we had, and cemented some kind of relationships with other countries. And that's no small thing. Okay. So having an omniplex, having a chief that can hop on an airplane to the UK and bring a delegation. Sure, you can technically say, well, that money could have gone for the bingo hall for, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can tear people apart. You can tear down the tribal leaders for all the expenses that you might say make them look good. And yeah, it does make Principal Chief and Governor Anatoobie Jr. look good. It does. As they represent us, the foreign head of state. Because you can't have them walking in with crappy clothes, doing this, and having nothing to show for, having no gifts. Okay? When you're going to meet the king of a foreign country, it's, unless they've called you to come and receive a specific honor, and even then, it's not a bad idea as technically a foreign head of state himself. It's a good thing that he and the Duchess and the governor all went and presented this book to King Charles III. It's no small deal. And King Charles III gave them I believe gave them a tour through the Royal Library, personal tour. That's considered a great honor. Next thing I'm expecting is for Principal Chief David Hill to get knighted by the king. Honestly, I'm kind of almost expecting something like that to occur, and we'll see what happens. We'll see. I don't know if that's going to happen, or if it's needed, because Principal Chief David Hill is he's the head of Muscogee Nation, so he's the head of state. So so is Governor Anatoobie Jr. They're heads of state. Okay. And we need to be able to see ourselves and our tribe as having a future where we can interact with whoever we want as a tribe and as nations, not just as, tribe almost makes us sound small, doesn't it? If you think about it. So, yeah, we need to have these relationships. We need to take ourselves seriously as a people, not just be a government handout, holding your hands out like this, cupped for people to here, give me food, give me this, pay my bills, do this. We need to be a people that actually work with our own two hands and stop relying exclusively on government handouts. So the attitude of, oh no, that could have all gone to the people. Yeah, sure it could have. Are they working for their stuff though? Either are they putting any effort out, even to get free stuff? Are they doing the paperwork necessary to go and, you know, get the medical help that the tribe is offering them for free that I've received because I did the paperwork, not because I have some white privilege or some BS like that? Okay? No. My late great aunt Darlene, may she rest in peace. My late and great aunt Darlene, sorry, let me correct that. She taught me how to work within that system. I did exactly what she said, and it worked out. Other people who live there can't figure it out for some reason. That's the crazy part. So, in all fairness, there need to be more advocates for people that are illiterate, because you do have illiteracy on the reservation. And you do have people that speak only Muscogee as their language. So that there needs to be that sort of advocacy. I believe the advocacy might be there already, but you have to go and show up and get the help and do what they tell you to do. And maybe you're embarrassed that you can't read or speak English, but the people there, when I was there, were definitely willing to help out. I'm so eternally grateful for them and for, you know, the tribal healthcare system. I mean, I benefited greatly from that. So, but I didn't do it because I expected to stay there forever and get help forever from the tribe. You know, I mean, I may move back there somewhere. I mean, someday, you know, but I definitely will be visiting again. You know, it's, but in the meantime, you know, like, look, I'm working. I got my own medical benefits. I don't ask the tribe for much. I only ask for that which they're prepared to give out, like Head Start for my son. I'm grateful for that. You know, but I'm not trying to just stick my hands out and say, please give me this. You know, that money from that trip could have gone to help me out and pay my bills. That, you know what I'm saying? Like, we have to be very mindful of the bigger picture here. And yeah, we can't forget the little guy either, you know? And I think that ultimately what our chief is doing is gonna help out the little guy in the future. You know, and maybe the little guy can stop wasting his money at the casino and drinking his money away. You know, I'm sorry. Like, I hate to be that guy to call out the, you know, call a spade all the time, but that's also true too. Stop drinking, stop, you know, getting in fights with your spouse and kids and, you know, other problems that we have going on that are self-inflicted, unfortunately. Maybe you'll stop doing that. Maybe let's go get jobs, and maybe sometimes you got to get out of your neighborhood and just, you know, get out of your town, get out of, you know, maybe get out of your state and go make some money somewhere else, you know, and, you know, be excellent. Go be excellent as Muscogee people, right? Be known for being Muscogee and being excellent wherever you're at. And let the chief do his job. I think he's doing a good job. So, Great Big Minot, Principal Chief David Hill, and those in our government who have been, you know, delegates. I'm grateful for all the work that y'all do. And, you know, I'm looking forward to what happens in the future because I really want to see what's going to happen. I'm kind of giddy with anticipation. I have been ever since the delegation went to see the Hillis Hadjo artifacts. And I just want to see more. If there's more stuff out there that the British Museum has that came from our people, I want to see it. And to be honest, I wanted to stay there. I wanted to come here to visit. I wanted to go back to the British Museum so it doesn't get lost. I mean, we cannot deny the effectiveness of the British Museum. You know, uh, the British people's ability to have museums and artifacts that are preserved, their armories, all of it. They're good at keeping that stuff around. So I have no problem with our ancient artifacts being stored there. But I definitely want to see it come back on a visit. I think it'd be great, like like Principal Chief said about our craftspeople being able to see the stuff in person and to be able to make replicas of it. I think we should make exact replicas, 2 sets, mind you. 1 set to stay in Okmulgee when the original set gets sent back to England, and the other set to go back to England as sort of a gift, as a goodwill gift. And if they decide to ever showcase it publicly, they can show the original and they can show the one that our people gifted to them recently, if such a thing were to occur. And I think that'd be the greatest thing, to be honest. Yeah, I'm really curious to see what the relationship is going to continue to be between the British Crown and the Office of Principal Chief of Muscogee Nation. So anyway, stay tuned. I'll let y'all know more news as I receive it, and I'll share a link in the description of this video. Mado.